Welcome to another VMblog video interview series. And today we have the pleasure of speaking with Patrick Harr, who's the CEO of Panzura. How are you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Great.
Doing what we can to stay
Staying at home.
Social distanced.
You are, right?
So I understand, can you maybe give our viewers an overview of the company and some of the main problems that your company solves?
Certainly. So Panzura was actually founded about 10 years ago with kind of express intent to help customers transition into the cloud. And really at its core, what we help customers do is store cloud files. And what we mean by that, rather than store files in the traditional data center context, we help customers transition and store those files in any number of clouds, whether it be AWS, Azure, or Google, or on an on-prem cloud. And separately, we launched a new service. It's called Vizion.ai, which helps customers effectively provide deep search, insight, and analytics to the data that's stored across those clouds as well.
Patrick, as you know, we just kind of talked about it briefly. Coronavirus is on everyone's mind right now. How has COVID-19 created urgency among your customers and prospects with regard to changing IT, data storage, and business continuity planning?
Right. As you can imagine, business continuity and remote working is really front and center in everyone's mind today. In fact, it is really commented in a lot of discussions I've had with customers. This is going to forever change IT. In a way that no longer you're going to have just data center to data center business continuity planning. You're going to have what I've characterized last person business continuity planning, meaning they have to get all the way to the ultimate edge, down to the home. And with that, for our customers that it adopted, at its core, what we have is a global cloud file system. That global cloud file system stores all data, file-based data in a cloud or in multiple clouds as a single source of truth. So what that means, if I have a file that's stored in the cloud, I can then see that file from any location that you have a software instance of our global cloud file system. And so what that ultimately means from a business continuity standpoint and a remote working perspective is that if any one of those sites gets shut down, I can access that data from anywhere at any time. And I can access it in a high performance, same manner as if I was at the office or in the data center. So particularly as we look at COVID-19, what has been, I'd say from our customer perspective, what's been beneficial for them is this really has not changed the way they do their work. It has not changed the way their users do their daily work, whether that be, we have very large customers that build large buildings, as an example, car manufacturers, amusement parks. It's anyone that's done large, big, collaborative projects is able to work in real time with our global cloud file system. Again, as if they're in the office, they happen to now be remote. And so overall, as I said, from a business continuity standpoint, we've really seen that become front and center with the customer mindset. And in fact, I would say that became a board level discussion, not just an IT discussion. And I started seeing this about a month ago. Some customers were more forward-looking in terms of what they were looking at from the business continuity planning. And as I said, for those that had already adopted our global cloud file system, this really, in many respects, was just a shift in the workforce as opposed to a wholesale change and disruption to the workforce. And it's really helped them maintain their productivity and maintain their performance level. And I would say, I'd point one final thing, is also help them maintain their security posture. Because one other thing that people have to be very conscious of right now is the bad actors. They're really starting to attack different, particularly on the data side. We have what's called an immutable cloud file system. And so this means that we're immune to ransomware and those type of phishing type of attacks where you want to go in and effectively steal the data. So I think that it's a combination of the two things that we provide in terms of, number one, strong business continuity, remote working, and second, the ability to provide very secure access to that data that provides a lot of peace of mind. And I say that somewhat, it's hard to have peace of mind in this general crisis, but it does help our customers focus on some of the other activities that they have to focus on.
And Patrick, where would you say that your customers are in the continuum of, on-premise versus hybrid versus public cloud?
Yeah. So number one, all of our customers are in quote cloud in one form or fashion. I'd say about 15% of our customers do what's called a pure private cloud, meaning we have no communication behind the firewall. And that's typically done in highly regulated environments as they're continuing to work through their continuum of what cloud technologies can they adopt within their data center. So these be financial services, some other heavily regulated industries, government, security type of environments. A very strong majority of our customers, about 75 to 80%, are doing hybrid cloud, meaning they have software that's deployed in a data center or in an office that's then connecting to AWS, Azure, or Google. And in turn, we're storing all the file-based data in one of those public clouds, but they're accessing that data from the data center edge or the office edge. And then the final, which is a big growing area for us, is just pure in cloud or public cloud. And you may ask, well, why can't I just use AWS files or Azure files? At its core, again, we have a global cloud file system that works very well within the AWS context, such that I can have east-west environments where regardless of where you come in, east or west, I see the same exact file, and I can work on that same exact file with global file locking. And that's something simply is not done inside of AWS or Azure or Google itself.
And you sort of touched on this a bit already, but can you dive down a little bit deeper and talk about the primary security concerns that are associated with enabling a remote or a distributed workforce?
Yeah, certainly. So again, obviously security is a multi-layered, multifaceted, I would say, problem that you have to attack, right? You have to attack the edge, and there really is no edge anymore, right? That's really blurred with mobile. So for us, we take security, again, we look at it from a multi-layer perspective. Number one, inside the global cloud file system, which is very important. All data is encrypted and flagged and at rest, and the customer owns the keys. It's meaning that the customer is the only one who can actually open and access that data if they have the keys available to them. Second, you want to have the ability, and this has become more important in this COVID crisis, you want to have the ability, if you do get attacked, to be able to immediately snapshot back to a point in time where you don't have corruption. So example, in ransomware that is placed, it's attacked, and I've seen this increase more, particularly over the last month. You want to be able to snap back effectively to the appropriate snapshot, so you do not have a scenario where you have a corrupted file or a ransom file and you have access to your data and continuous access to the data, which is even more important in this remote access working environment today. Finally, you want to, and this is particularly what we do in Vizion.ai, we have the ability to do machine learning audit. So you have the ability to go in and forensically look at what's going on across your data. And you can see who's accessed what, who, what, where, when, why, and how. You can also look at anomaly detection to say, listen, there may be a bad actor here. Let's go ahead and lock that down and quarantine. And so I think, as I said, it's really a multi-layer problem you want to look at. Particularly, it's heightened as folks are working remote. You want to have more trust, that ultimate boundary, that ultimate mobile edge. And in turn, as I said, how we attack that is help our customers approach that from a three-layer problem.
And you mentioned AI a bit. How's AI impacting data-driven decisions in remote environments?
Yeah, one of the first things we did, and this is just really for informational purposes, we put out a COVID dashboard that you could go in and drill anywhere in the world, where we were taking 6 different data sources from all the health experts around the world, so you could see in real time what was happening. And second, you could look at predictive models that were being generated from AI. So these are AI predictive models to say, we've all heard about bending the curve. What was going on in your locale, such in turn, obviously you can make some decisions. that really highlights some of the power of what we do in Vizion.ai itself, which is effectively how do I take multiple data sources, multiple data feeds to make the most intelligent data decisions. As we look at remote working and business continuity in particular, we want to be able to look at on the network side where the patterns of bottlenecks that you may need to shift. Where is your workforce accessing from a particular cloud location? If that cloud location is being overrun, can you move that or isolate and shift some of that resource? So as we looked at it from a data-driven perspective, it's both on the IT side. Can you effectively shift your infrastructure to really maximize the workforce? And then second, can you look at it from a security perspective and just an informational perspective, such that I can act in real time on the decisions that I need to do on a daily basis.
And then for the folks watching this video, can you give some advice on what you would offer enterprises that would want to immediately give remote workers fast access to data?
Yeah, I'd love to say this again as an overnight phenomenon, right? Where I would say for our customers that had already adopted our global cloud file system, this really was a non-event from an IT perspective, meaning that the customers were able to quickly shift from a office-driven workforce to a remote workforce, literally within a matter of seconds. Because at its core, because we store that data in the cloud as a single source of truth, you can access that data anywhere at the same performance level. So really, and we had customers that had been impacted by floods. If you recall back in the Houston floods a couple of years ago, there was a massive impact in Houston, and for customers that adopted us, it was a non-event because they were able to shift over to other data centers, to other offices. So that same thing has been experienced with our customers today. In fact, many of the customers have commented that it's helped them sleep better and most importantly, help them focus on some of the other activities that are very important to their business, whereas this just is a kind of a continual operations. For those customers that we've been in process with, I will say that this has become, as I mentioned before, a higher level board decision or board discussion, not just an IT discussion. And I would expect this to continue to be that way on an ongoing basis. So for those that we're currently working with, helping them deploy this, it is about how we get the data into the global cloud file system as quickly as possible, such that we can help them continue to access that data from anywhere. And as I pointed out, I don't think this is just going to be a temporary aspect. It's going to be that last person business continuity that will forever change IT. And if you do not have these business plans in place, you will be really looking from the outside in as opposed to the inside out in terms of what you need to do to operate your business. And so again, for our customers we're working with right now, this is going to be something will help them drive through this scenario, but also future scenarios that will occur.
Well, thank you, Patrick. I want to thank you for coming on and sharing with us a little bit about your company. And where can people go if they want to find out more information about Panzura?
Yeah, www.panzura.com. And then if you want to look at the data-driven decisions, the AI data, go to www.vizion.ai.
Great. All right. Well, thank you. We appreciate your time today.
All right. Thank you all.